Welcome to the video which every single YouTuber does every year, and then in a year's time we look back and we look like an absolute idiot because we put a team in 18th and they finished in 7th. And it probably is the most controversial video to do as well, so please, I'm just going to say now, this is my opinion, you're entitled to your own. Please don't be too offensive in the comments or call me anything that's not exactly PG. Yeah? Thanks in advance. For context, I'm recording this in the evening on the 8th of September, so any transfers that have gone through since, that's the reason why I haven't mentioned it. And of course, there's still a month left in the transfer window because of the you-know-what virus, so yeah, just bear that in mind. 20th place then, and of course last season we all put Sheffield United and they massively proved us wrong, and this is a very, very easy pick, but I'm going for Fulham. I'm sorry, Fulham fans, but I just think you're not going to be good enough. I don't think your squad is good enough, and I don't think you've bought exactly Premier League quality, or maybe players that aren't ready for the Premier League. Maybe that's a better way of putting it. So far, you've permanently signed Anthony Knockaert and Harrison Reed, who you both had last season, of course, and were very good for you, but I think you need a bit more than that. You've also signed Lamina on loan from Southampton and Anthony Robertson from Wigan, who is a very good, promising young player, but is he really ready for the Premier League just yet? Personally, I don't think he is. But honestly, I hope Fulham prove me wrong, because I do quite like them as a club and as a team. Really cool stadium as well, but I'm sorry, I just don't think you're going to have quite enough. In 19th, it is going to be West Bromwich Albion. Now, I'm sorry to Baggy fans, but honestly, I've done exactly the same with Fulham. I've just picked a promoted club and not really thought about it. Well, I have. I lie. I have thought about it, obviously. But you signed Grady Diagania from West Ham. I probably said that wrong. And West Ham fans, from what I've seen, are really annoyed about this. So you're clearly getting a very good young player. And also Mateus Pereira is permanently signed for you as well. And obviously he was fantastic for you last season as well. Cedric Kipri, I think I'm saying that wrong, probably. I don't know. I'm not very good. I can't even talk my own language, even though it isn't English. But he's coming from Wigan, and David Button from Brighton, probably just as a backup goalkeeper. But speaking of goalkeeper, that is one weakness that I think you have. I think you need a more proven Premier League goalkeeper. Sam Johnson is there, David Button. I just think you need someone else, quite honestly. I don't know. Am I being harsh there? Is Sam Johnson a good goalkeeper? Is he ready for the Premier League? And maybe another proven Premier League striker. You have Charlie Austin, Robson Kanu, Zahor, and Zahor apparently has been linked with the move away. I think you need to strengthen in both those areas, and maybe I could change my mind. And speaking of your manager as well, even though I didn't even mention him, but anyway, Slaven Bilic, very good manager, so I think that could definitely help you out, having a manager like him. 18th place, and honestly, I have swapped this team with about 4 other sides. It was so difficult to pick this final relegation candidate, but it is going to be Aston Villa. Now, I really, really hope that this is wrong, and I'm sorry, Charlie, in the comments. I know you're a big Villa fan, and you do tend to, you know, wind me up about you signing one certain player off us. But honestly, I've said quite a few times now, I do quite like Villa as a club, and, you know, a historic club, they should definitely be in the Premier League. But you were incredibly lucky last season to stay up. I think even you can admit that. You've only signed Matty Cash off us. But other than that, I think you need more. You clearly need more. I think you need to get another striker. You were linked with Callum Wilson, but he's gone to Newcastle, of course. Maybe a centre-back, because defensively last season was a real issue for you. Mings can't do it all. Maybe staying up on the last day will give them a real boost to stay up the next season even more and do even better. I hope that happens. I really do. But I just think that they are one out. I just think that Villa are going to be unlucky. So 18th place for them. In 17th, just staying up, and this was really tight. And normally this team gets really hyped up and is put really high up because they do some great business, but they always fail. This time, and I'm predicting it. I'm saying West Ham to just stay up by the skin of their teeth. I think it's going to be really hard. West Ham, they're in turmoil off the pitch. They have been for years now. Really, really poor owners. Okay, we all know that at West Ham. They always go and buy some decent players, like Seb Haller was fantastic for Frankfurt, but completely and utterly flopped at West Ham. They've got some good players, West Ham. They should do much, much better than 17th, and even being in a relegation scrap. Every year they fail. Every year. Like the last few years now, they have really been so underwhelming, and I feel sorry for West Ham fans to have to put up with all this rubbish. And the fact that just seeing you sell that lad to, I can't say his name properly, I don't want to butcher it, to West Brom, seeing him leave, that just says a lot about what's going on at the club. off the pitch. And the fact that you've got David Moyes, yes, he kept you up again. He did it before. I just don't think that he's a very good manager, quite honestly. In 16th place, then, this might be a little bit controversial, to be honest. Maybe some people should see this team higher, but I'm putting Brighton, okay? Now, last season, they had a relatively poor end, even though they started the restart by beating the likes of Arsenal. They didn't really do that well after that, and it was also because they played a lot of top sides. I do remember that, like United. I think they played Chelsea as well. But let's be honest, they still didn't end it very well, and it was exactly the same the season before. I remember the reason why I said Brighton would get relegated last season in my previous prediction video was because they had a really poor end. Alan Lallana coming out on a free from Liverpool, 32. That is a good bit of business, I'll be honest, but he's not the Alan Lallana that he used to be. He's not as good as he was. Joel Ventman, though, from Ajax for less than £1 million. That's a bargain, I think, because Ventman was part of the team. Veltman, David. He was part of the Ajax team that got to the Champions League semi-finals, and he was their main centre-back. I thought he was a full-back, to be honest. But anyway, Jensen Weah from Wigan. Maybe that's not the greatest signing in the world. However, that looks to be more of a future option because he's 18 years of age. So, you know, a bit harsh there maybe. And Ben White, every single Leeds fan have been going on about how good he was for them last season and have been really annoyed that he hasn't come back. But obviously Brighton want to keep him because he did really well. And as the players that they've lost Aaron Moy to China, which I really think is just such a weird move. Clearly money talks there, clearly. Shane Duffy as well going to Celtic. I thought he was like their main centre-back along with Dunk. Maybe 16th is a little bit harsh, I'm not going to lie. But that is where I'm putting them. 15th place, it is Crystal Palace. Now, I'm not going to lie, the initial prediction to this, I had them in the relegation zone. Now, the reason why I changed my mind, I don't even really know why I did, to be honest. But they signed Eze from QPR, a very good bit of business, and Ferguson as well from West Brom. But I still think they can do more. I think for years now, Palace have needed a really good striker. They're linked with Michy Batshuayi, apparently, from Chelsea on loan again, because he was there a few years ago. Yes, they've got Jordan Ayew, who did do fairly well last season, but Christian Benteke, come on, he's a meme at this point. He can't score goals to save his life. And if they lose Zaha, again, exactly like I said last season, it's going to be a real impact. A lot of their players as well are kind of getting on a little bit as well, like Milivojevic. Penalty merchant, let's be honest, a very good player to, I mean, I won't lie, he is a good player, but loads and loads and loads of penalties. What could save them dramatically though is Vicente Guaita, of course, was fantastic for them last season and probably one of the most underrated players in the Premier League last season as well. In 14th, it's Leeds United, the team that everyone hates. Not so much me, I'm actually honest, I do quite like seeing Leeds back in the Premier League. I mean, you know, my neighbour's a Leeds fan. It'd be quite funny if they got relegated for that reason, but still. But one of the reasons why I think you'll comfortably stay up is your transfer business. Now, maybe they have done a similar thing to Fulham, not quite as bad, and they have spent a lot of money, 61 million so far at the time of recording. Rodrigo from Valencia, apparently he didn't even do that well for them, Valencia, last season. He scored 4 goals, so that's not too great. But going to a club like Leeds, I think, you know, he's going to be a big, big fish in a small pond. No offence to Leeds, but you know, at Valencia, there was lots of other big players there as well. Helder Costa has permanently joined them from Wolves as well, and they've also signed Robin Koch. Koch is that? I think that's how you say it, from Freiburg for 11 million. Never heard of him. A centre-back though. A guy from Wigan, I'll butcher his name, just less than £1 million, a centre-forward. But the good thing about them is really they've not really lost anyone of note, so that is good. Really good business from Leeds, and I think they still have more to come. So the business for Leeds is definitely a reason why I think they're going to stay up. And they've already got a fantastic manager in Bielsa. Already got a very good core group of players. Calvin Phillips is now an England international. I just think they're going to do really well, Leeds. Maybe they could do higher than 14th, but I'm going to put them in 14th place, like I just said. Newcastle United in 13th place. Now, a lot of people are saying Newcastle are going to do poorly because of their failed takeover, and having Steve Bruce as a manager isn't hugely inspiring, but he proved everyone wrong last season and did really well to replace Benitez, of course. But their business is actually really good, to be honest. Callum Wilson, you know, Joelinton was a huge flop. Callum Wilson, a proven striker for 20 million. I think that's quite a good deal, to be honest. Jamal Lewis from Norwich for 14 million. Yes, okay, got relegated last season, but he's a good young player with lots of potential. Maybe he could do well. Jeff Hendrick, probably one of the most sideways moves of all time, go from Burnley to Newcastle. Really don't understand that one at all. Ryan Fraser for free coming from Bournemouth. So 2 Bournemouth But basically, Bournemouth's 2 best players coming to Newcastle, which is quite funny, really. But honestly, good business from Newcastle, genuinely. They've spent 34 million so far. They don't normally spend too much. Genuinely good business. I think it'll be a pretty standard year again for Newcastle. In 12th place, it is going to be Sheffield United. Now, of course, a lot of people, everyone in fact, wrote them off last season and had an absolute blinder and could even, maybe at one point, genuinely got the Champions League or even the Europa League. And it's kind of sad at the end that they didn't even get it. But honestly, Sheffield United, I don't think they're going to do quite as well as last season, hence why I'm putting them in 12th. I think they'll be comfortable, but they won't be in the top 10 as much as they were last season, or even in the European spots, to be honest. And after restart, they weren't quite as good. They did still beat Spurs and Chelsea, of course, but they weren't quite as good, like I literally just said. And the loss of Dean Henderson as well to Man United. Yes, okay, he's only on loan, but he was absolutely vital to them the last 2 seasons. That isn't going to help. However, the only real signing they've made is 2 goalkeepers, in fact, but Aaron Ramsdale from Bournemouth as well for 18 million. I think that's a really good signing for them. Very good option. And Wes Foderingham from Rangers. So they're definitely covering the backs when it comes to goalkeepers to replace Dean Henderson. They've also signed Max Lowe and Jayden Bogle from Derby as well. So they most clearly want to pass the ball straight to the opposition striker to let him score every game. But honestly, genuinely good business, to be honest. Jayden Bogle, forget the fact that he used to play for them lot. He is a good player. And Ethan Ampadu on loan from Chelsea. Some decent bit of business here, to be honest. So yeah, Sheffield United, I think they'll do well. Nothing incredible, but I think they'll be more than comfortable. In 11th place, we've got Burnley. Now again, Burnley are not known for spending much money at all, and they've signed literally 1 player, a backup goalkeeper from Wolves, Will Norris. Yeah, they've lost Ben Gibson as well to Norwich, and they've also got rid of Hendrick, Hart and Lennon. Those last 3 for literally nothing. So they've signed no one big that's actually going to play. And all the players that they have lost, even though they weren't vital players, maybe Hendrick, they've made literally no profit. So that's really poor business from Burnley. Burnley for years now have overperformed. If they do lose Sean Dyche in the future, Burnley could genuinely plummet. I really could see that because he is the heart of that club. And if they do lose James Tarkowski, who's been linked with loads of clubs, West Ham being one of them, that could be a massive game changer for Burnley. I think he's that vital to them. So Burnley, I just think it'll be another fairly average year, flirting between the European spots and mid-table. In 10th, we've got Southampton. They had a fantastic end to last season, of course. Danny Ings nearly got the Premier League Golden Boot, and everyone says this, but it is incredible. They went from losing 9-0 at home to completely and utterly revitalising themselves under Ralph Hasenhüttl, proving what a fantastic manager he is. And he's really building something at that club. He genuinely is. I think the fact that they ended the season so well, and I think they had a really good away form. They beat City, of course. Genuinely really good results. And from what I saw, I watched that City game. They were fantastic in that. So I think Southampton permanently signing Kyle Walker-Peters, Spurs also signing Mohamed Salsu, probably saying that wrong, from Real Valderon. Decent business. I mean, I think they can do more than that, to be quite honest. Maybe, I don't know, replace Højbjerg, because they've lost him to Spurs as well. And Harrison Reed permanently. The Mina's been loaned out. And also Cedric Suarez going to Arsenal for nothing. Yoshida leaving as well. They've lost more players than signed them. But I think Southampton, momentum, still going to be on their side. 9th place is going to be Everton. Now, progress under Carlos Ancelotti. Having a manager like him is going to massively help them out. And hence the reason why all of their transfers so far have been quality. Honestly, if they did not have a manager like Carlos Ancelotti, they would never have got at least 2 of these players. I.e. James Rodriguez from Real Madrid, a World Cup Golden Boot winner, literally played for Real Madrid and Bayern Munich. Yes, okay, he didn't play much for them, but he still played for clubs like that. Alan from Napoli. Yes, okay, he's getting towards the tail end of his career, 29, but he used to work for him, of course, when Ancelotti was at Napoli, so that's one of the reasons why he's brought him in. And Decoy officially has joined from Watford for 20 million. All fairly cheap in today's market, all around 20 million to 23 million quid. That is genuinely good business for Everton. Now, again, are they going to spend a load of money? They spent 65 million just to flop. I don't think they will flop quite as much. I think they will miss out on European football, which is exactly what Everton are really going to want a lot this season. But I do think they're going to do better, and you're going to see a lot of progress this season. It's not been great for Everton the last few years, but this is real progress. In 8th place, it is no bias here at all. It is Leicester City, okay? Now, a lot of people are doing this. Leicester, they were comfortably in the top 4 all of last season. It was incredible to see them that high up. And the fact that they bottled it big time, I think psychologically that could really affect them. And yes, okay, new season, but it's still going to be on their minds. The fact that they could have been in the Champions League this season, but instead they're going to be playing on Thursday nights against Bulgarian teams. Like, it's just, no offense to Bulgaria, it's just an example. But still, let's be honest, for Leicester, they've gone from being relegation scraps to being known as a yo-yo team from Premier League to Championship, to being annoyed that they didn't get Champions League football and they got Europa League. Now, of course, any team would be annoyed that they missed out on the Champions League, only they got Europa League instead. But still, Leicester, if you told them a few years ago, would be comfortably qualifying and fighting for Europe for a whole season. It was still a mad season for Leicester based off only a few years back. And I think another reason why they might not do as well, they've lost Chilwell, of course, to Chelsea. They've not replaced him as of yet, and also Timothy Castaglon, I'm probably saying that completely wrong, from Atalanta for 21 million. It's not insane. He is a right back. Maybe they could do more. I think Leicester could do more in the transfer market. In 7th place, now honestly, this is going to be quite controversial because this team, they didn't have a good season at all last year, and they have acted fairly well so far in the transfer market, and they have got a good, exciting, promising manager in Mikel Arteta, and it is Arsenal, okay? But I just think they can do more, okay? In defence, they've signed Gabriel, a very promising young player from Lille, for 23 million. Pablo Marin and Cedric Suarez permanently signing as well when they hardly played a game last season, which doesn't really make much sense, to be honest. They've still got David Luiz and Mustafi there, which isn't the most encouraging sign at all. Willian coming in, I mean, there's that whole joke that, you know, Arsenal are Chelsea's retirement home, and they aren't really helping themselves, are they? I think Willian will be a good signing, but let's be honest, they can do better than that. One thing that could help them out defensively, though, is Sarabia coming in finally. They can finally use him. I think Arsenal will genuinely do well under Arteta in time. I just think based off other teams, how they've done in the transfer market, and just genuinely the state of that club, I just think Arsenal, compared to the others, won't do quite as well. The Wolves revolution continues under Nuno Espirito Santo. Of course, last season, another fantastic year, but somehow they missed out on European football after they were in the spots for a considerable amount of time. They did so well in the Europa League in their first ever year in it, or for a very long time. But I think the fact that they're not going to have Europe could actually really help them. Yes, okay, the level that they're at now, no longer a team that used to be in the Championship. They're now a team that want European football every single season, which is just mental. Bringing in Fabio Silva for 36 million from Porto, very highly rated striker. I think it's good that they've finally got cover for Jimenez, because they've never really had anyone. And Marcel coming in at left back as well for $1 million from Lyon. However, though, they have sold Matt Doherty and they still haven't replaced him. Maybe in time they will with the rest of the transfer window. If they don't replace him, maybe that might backfire on them, because I don't even know who their backup right back is, to be honest. They've loaned out Morgan Gibbs-White as well to Swansea. That's a fairly good move for him. But I think Wolves, no European football. They're not going to have much football to play. I think it will help them out, and they're still a very, very good side, and they love playing top teams as well, so they can beat teams around them. In 5th place, just missing out on the top 4. I'm sorry, again, it is going to be Tottenham after so many years consecutively in the Champions League. It's going to be 2 more years without that elite competition being played with Spurs. Or at Spurs, more like that. Made no sense. But they have made some fairly decent signings. Permanently signing Lo Celso, Matt Doherty coming in, like I said earlier, and Højbjerg and Joe Hart on a free. Bit weird that, to be honest. Sold Kyle Walker-Peters and Jan Vertonghen and loaned out Oliver Skipp. Not bad business. And Spurs, I think, after last season, they're definitely going to want to do much, much better. Top 4. And Mourinho is going to want to win something this season. You know, he's a manager that he knows how to win trophies. I just think they're going to fall short because a team in 4th place, Manchester United, are going to get it instead. United have only made one signing in Donny van der Beek, of course, from Ajax, but I think it's going to be a really big improvement. And their midfield is going to be stacked. They've got McTominay and Matic and Fred, but then the actual starters are going to be Pogba, Van der Beek, and Fernandes. Like, that is a mad set of strikers, midfielders. I still think defensively they need to improve, and De Gea was a worry last season. Of course, he wasn't great, but I just think United are going to get top 4. They ended last season really, really well, of course, even though they did miss out on the FA Cup and Europa League. They still did well in the league to claw it back and somehow finish third when they were nowhere near it all season. I think United are going to continue to push forward. Third place is going to be Chelsea. Now, we all know that Chelsea have been playing FM in real life, to be honest, haven't they? They have just had an insane transfer market. They could even bring in more. Kai Havertz, Timo Werner, Chilwell, Ziyech, Sarr, and also Thiago Silva. Honestly, just insane business. Like, what the hell is going on? It's like they couldn't sign any players for this whole season, so they've just gone out and signed every player under the sun. It's just mental. Yes, they lost the loss of Pedro and Willian, but it's not a huge loss for them anyway. So I do think that Chelsea are going to do really well. However, you've got to remember this. All these new players, fantastic additions, but they've got to all gel together. It could take them a while to all gel and just get used to each other and really get a system going. That might backfire on them. They're heading in the right direction without a doubt. They've been in rebuild period now for the last few seasons since they last won the league title under Conte, of course. I do think, though, some fantastic business. They are not mucking about next season. In second place, of course, just missing out on the Premier League, it is going to be Man City. Okay, I'm sorry to City fans, but I think your business, you could have done more so far. And yes, okay, it can still change, but Nathan Ake coming in for 40 million from Bournemouth. Torres coming in from Valencia for 20 million. Obviously, they've lost Leroy Sané and David Silva, which could backfire on them maybe. But I think City, they're going to do better next season. They're going to want to win more than just the League Cup, because by their standards, that's nothing really. And remember, last season, everyone said City had a poor year. And yes, okay, in the Champions League, they definitely did. FA Cup wasn't theirs. They didn't win it. But really, their points tally they had last season would have won a Premier League title most years, really. It's only because Liverpool just was so ridiculously far ahead. City looked poor just because of how good Liverpool were. So, of course, my Premier League champions for the 2020-21 season is going to be Liverpool again. Now, not many teams, I do know this, not many teams retain the Premier League title, as we've proven. I think it's been a long time since a team has done that. They've not really signed many players, not that they really need to, but a guy from Olympiacos has come in for 11 million. Maybe they could do more, I don't know. I mean, do they need to do more? Probably not. They've just won the Premier League title. They've sold Dejan Lovren, which, I mean, probably a good thing, to be honest. But it is good that you finally got backup for Robbo now at left back. I think that's really good. That guy from Olympiacos is a left back. I think Liverpool, they won't be as insane as they were last year, just walking the league and winning it by like November, but I think they will still be really good and good enough to win the league title again. Well, there we go, lads. That is my Premier League predictions for the brand new season. At the halfway stage, I'll review this, of course, and at the end, I'll react to it just to see how terribly wrong I was and laugh at myself, mainly. The Championship edition will come out in the coming days. However, it probably will come out when the season has actually got going, but it doesn't really matter too much, and yeah, the transfer window's still open as well, so I suppose that doesn't really matter. But unfortunately, that'll be the case. But yeah, it'll be out soon. Hope you've enjoyed, lads. Let me know what you think about my predictions. By all means, let me know in the comments below your own. And yeah, I'll see you very soon, lads. Like and subscribe to Rads if you have enjoyed, and I'll see you very soon.